Right. Our next topic is how do organisms obtain their food? Yeah. So in this we are going to discuss about nutrition in amoeba. So see the picture. So we know amoeba is a unicellular organism which present in fresh water, right? So one more special thing related to amoeba is amoeba don't have fixed shape. Okay, so it changes its shape because of extension of its body part, right? So what will happen whenever it finds its food near to the amoeba? Amoeba takes food using temporary finger-like extensions, pseudopodia of the cell surface. So whenever it finds the food, what will happen? It extend its body to the food, right? This extended part is called pseudopodia. Then it create a food vacuole by closing the pseudopodia. Then it takes the food inside the body. Then after taking, what will happen? So amoeba takes food using temporary finger-like extensions of the cell surface which fuse over the food particle forming a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are broken down into simpler ones, then diffuse into the cytoplasm. After forming vacuole, so it takes food inside its body, then break down the complex food particle into simpler ones. So after converting into simpler one also, diffusion can take place, right? Everything through happens through diffusion process only. Okay, so what is have diffusion? Diffusion is particles move from high concentration to low concentration. Suppose here food concentration is more, then here food concentration is less. What will happen? So this spreads to here, right, through the diffusion process. Everyone know what is diffusion, right? Next, it absorbs the food from nutrients from the food, right? After uh, creating waste, what will happen? The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the body, right, surface of the cell, and thrown out. So after absorbing nutrients, so this waste materials reaches the membrane structure of the cell, right? So this comes to this part, again sends out through the process of diffusion only. Everything happens through the process of diffusion. Okay, then it expel the food waste part from the body, right? Next we have uh, paramecium. Nutrition in paramecium. Paramecium also a unicellular organism, right? So it is having fixed shape. Shape will not change, but if you see the uh, body structure, you will find some hair-like structures, right? So it is called cilia. So with this hair-like structure, it moves to the to and fro. So wherever it want to go, it will move with the help of this cilia. Right. Whenever it see the food, what will happen? So it moves its body to near to the food vacuole. Where is food vacuole? This is our food vacuole. Then from this food vacuole, it takes the food. Then it break down the complex substances and absorb the nutrients and send waste from the anal pore. Okay. So that is nutrition in paramecium. Right. Next, we will move to our next topic, that is parasitic nutrition in cascata. What is the parasitic nutrition in cascata? Parasitic nutrition in cascata. So, cascata is a parasitic plant. So, what is parasitic nutrition? Already we discussed that they depend on other organisms for food, right? So, what will happen here? Cascade is a special plant. So it is a leafless plant twining, uh, which twines to the host plant. parasitic plant belongs to morning glory family, right? So this cascata plant will not have chlorophyll. What will happen? So suppose if you have a tree or a host plant which is prepares its food using photosynthesis, right? So whenever this cascata plants germinate and sends its slender stem to the host plant, right? Then so it produces some spine-like structures that is called heustoria, and with this heustoria, so it insert this heustoria into the host plant until it reaches the phloem. So what are phloem tubes here? Phloem transports food, right, throughout the plant, right? So until it reaches the phloem, it inserts its heustoria. So from this, what it is taking, it absorbs nutrients directly from the host plant. Okay, so whenever it gets food from the host plant, so plant this cascata plant grows up. Okay, so cascata reflexa has been found to have very little amount of chlorophyll, right? It absorbs food through the heustoria. Heustoria are root-like structures that penetrate the tissue of a host plant and may kill it. The slender string-like stems of the dodder may be yellow, orange, pink or brown in color. Leaves are reduced to minute scales. Its flowers in nodule-like clusters are made up of tiny yellow white bell petals. Dodder seeds germinate, forming an anchoring root, then sends up a slender stem that grows in a this is spiral fashion, until it reaches the host plant. Then it winds around the stem of the host plant and forms heustoria. It forms heustoria from the host which penetrate through it. Water is drawn through the heustoria from the host plant, xylem, and nutrients are drawn from the phloem. Both water and nutrients are absorbed from the host plant and then starts growing. Okay, so this is parasitic nutrition in plants. Next we have nutrition in human beings. Okay, nutrition in human beings. So generally we take our food from mouth, right? Right. Mouth contains salivary glands which releases saliva. Okay, which releases saliva. Right. Whenever you are taking food, so it mixes with the saliva thoroughly, and you swallow the food. Then you chew the food using your teeth, right? So we are having incisors, canines, then premolar, molar to chew the food properly. Then we swallow the food, right? So then it comes to the esophagus. Then it travels through the esophagus. So here we have movement, peristalsis movement. We see peristalsis movement in means, suppose if you think this is your food pipe. So what will happen whenever food enters or bolus? This is called bolus, right? Bolus, whenever it reaches the esophagus, so it starts this muscles of the food pipe contrast here, then it wides here, down part. Okay, so whenever it is contrasting, food is thrown down here. Then after that, when food reaches here, then this part starts contrasting and it reaches the next part. So whatever we are seeing here, wave-like movement, right? So this is called peristalsis movement. Peristalsis, peristalsis movement. Okay, right. Next, food reaches food reaches the stomach here, this part. This is liver, right? So liver is connected to, not it releases its juices into stomach. It releases to duodenum, not into the stomach. What will happen in the stomach? Okay, in the stomach, it mix with hydro gastric juices, right? So it mixes with gastric juices and HCl, both HCl and gastric juices. Next, after mixing, what will happen? Then food travels to the. So what is the nature of the food here? Whenever it is mixing with the gastric juices and HCl, hydrochloric acid. So nature of the food is acidic now. Now thoroughly it is mixed and converted into simpler ones little bit. Then food comes to duodenum, this part. Then it goes to duodenum. Duodenum receives pancreatic juice from pancreas, bile juice from liver, bile juice from liver. Okay, wait a second. We'll see this picture. Right, like this. This is somewhat clear picture for me. Okay. Then after reaching duodenum, so this U-shaped structure is duodenum. So it pancreas. From pancreas it is getting pancreatic juice. From liver it is getting bile juice. Okay. So whenever food is mixing with bile juice, nature of the food turns into alkaline. Okay. Now food is semi-solid condition and nature is converted into acidic to base. Okay. Next, then it reaches the small intestine. Small intestine, not large intestine, it goes to large intestine, then it comes to small intestine. Right. What will happen in the small intestine? Small intestine is a long tube-like structure, right? So in the small intestine, you will find finger-like projections. That is called. You will find this finger-like projections throughout the small intestine uh, to absorb the nutrients. First thing, this major function of the microvilli is to absorb the nutrients from the food. Okay. Then it increases the surface area. Whenever it is moving like this, area is increased. There is a chance to absorb the most of the nutrients from the food. So food in the form of a soft slimy substance where some proteins and carbohydrates have already been broken down is called chyme. So now whatever it is in the form of, that is called chyme. Now the food material passes to the small intestine. Then finger-like projections are present in the small intestine. Then they absorb the nutrients from the small intestine. Then food is transferred to duodenum. From here it is transferred to duodenum. So small intestine name got from its small width only, not length, right? So it is a, if you take lengthwise, small intestine length is more when you compare with large intestine, but width wise it is small. So small intestine, then after it reaches the large intestine. Large intestine, whenever it is moving through the large intestine, main function of the large intestine is to absorb the water. It reabsorbs the water from the food. Okay. Slowly it turns into semi-solid condition and reaches the rectum. Right. It reaches the rectum. Rectum is a place where it stores for some time. Right. Then it passes or it expels through the anus. Anus is end part of the alimentary canal. So whatever we are seeing from mouth to mouth, esophagus, then stomach, then it reaches to small intestine, then goes through large intestine, rectum first, uh, stored in rectum for some time, and expelled through anus. Right? This whole tube-like structure is called alimentary canal. Clear? Right. Next, we have digestive juices. Very important table. Compulsory. I will get one more question from this table. That is So what are the enzymes released, and they where they are acting, or on which substance they are acting, right? So here, if you observe here, to remember this, we have one simple logic. Carbohydrates, right? Thylline, thylline, amylase. So somewhat rhyming there. Thylline and amylase, these two acts on the carbohydrates, converting them into maltose, right? So thylline is released from salivary glands, amylase is from pancreas. So where it is secreting? Buccal cavity, here duodenum, right? Next we are having one more type of nutrient is protein. Protein protein. So which enzyme is acting on protein? Pepsin and trypsin. Pepsin, trypsin, both are in rhyming. So protein, trypsin, pepsin. So easy to remember, right? So pepsin is released in gastric glands, and trypsin is released in pancreas. Pancreas releases into duodenum only, we know this, right? U-shaped structure is there. And pepsin in stomach. Next, these proteins are converted into peptones. Next, what we have? Fats. This is the best way to remember. Otherwise, we cannot remember all the things at a time. So bile juice. Bile juice is a special juice released from liver, right? So it has no enzymes. It acts on the fats, converting into fat globules, small globules, right? Here, lipase, which is released by pancreas, so converting into fatty acids and glycerol, right? So on fats, bile juice and lipase both are acting. Next, last two, peptides. Peptidases act on peptides. Sucrase acts on sucrose, converting into glucose. Peptides converted into amino acids when peptidase is acting on it. So I think you are understanding. We are having two carbohydrates, right? So on carbohydrates, which enzyme is acting? Thylline and amylase, right? Next we have protein. Trypsin and pepsin are acting on proteins. Next, fats, bile juice and lipase juice. From with this six completed. Next, peptides, peptidases, so rhyming, and sucrase acting on sucrose, converting into glucose. This is the easiest way to remember your digestive enzymes. Next, flowchart in human digestive system. How food is traveling throughout the alimentary canal, right? So food is taken through mouth, right? What is happening in the mouth? So in the buccal cavity, salivary glands releases salivary juice, right? And food is mixed with the saliva. Here mastication happens. So we chew the food with teeth. Then this semi-solid food travels to the pharynx, which is a common passage, right, for food and air. From this pharynx, it travels to esophagus. After from esophagus, then they here what we are observing is simply it is transferring food from mouth to stomach. But there is special thing that we see here is peristalsis movement in esophagus. Next, it reaches the stomach. Then what is happening in the stomach? It mixes with the gastric gland, gastric juice and hydrochloric acid. Then now it is called chyme, right? So it is in semi-solid condition. Next, this travels to the small intestine. Small intestine, before reaching in the duodenum, liver is releasing bile juice, pancreas is releasing uh, pancreatic juices, right? So before only we discussed what it is releasing, uh, trypsin, all this. Then whenever bile juice is mixed with the food, it turns into alkaline. So next it reaches the small intestine. In small intestine we will find microvilli projections, finger like projections, right? So these are helps the help us to absorb the nutrients from the food, right? So next, food travels to the large intestine. It absorbs the excess water from the food, then reaches the rectum, stores the food for some time, then send out waste from the anus, right? So it is flowchart for human digestive system. Next, we have one more important topic. Last topic is diseases due to malnutrition. Malnutrition. So, if a person is taking food, if that food does not have proper amount of carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals, so that nutrition is called malnutrition. Food helps to maintain life processes, right? So our diet should be a balanced one which contains proper amount of carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals and salts, fats, etc. So those should be in proper proportion or proper amount. So that is called balanced diet. Two-thirds of world population is affected by the food related diseases. Most of them facing various diseases due to lack of balanced diet. It is very important to here eating of food does not contain one or more than one nutrients in required amount is known as malnutrition, right? So poor health, willful starvation, lack of awareness of nutritional habits, socio-economic factors are all the reasons for malnutrition. Here we have malnutritions may be three types: protein malnutrition, calorie malnutrition. So, what are the diseases here? Kwashiorkor disease. So, if you see the picture, this this is due to protein deficiency. Protein deficiency in diet. Body parts may be swollen due to accumulation of water in the intercellular spaces. What will happen for in if a person is suffering from kwashiorkor, so cells are present in the form of tissues, right? So water comes out of the cell and so water accumulates between the cells. So because of that, very poor muscle development, swollen legs, fluffy face, difficult to eat, diarrhea and dry skin are the symptoms of the disease, right? Next, one more disease is marasmus. This is due to deficiency of both protein and calorie deficiency. So before one, kwashiorkor only protein deficiency. It is because of both protein and calorie deficiency. Generally, this disease occurs when there is an immediate second pregnancy or repeated childbirth. What are the symptoms? Lean and weak, less developed muscles, dry skin, diarrhea are the symptoms of this disease. Right. Next one, obesity. Obesity, apart from the deficiency diseases mentioned above, the constant intake of high calorie food may lead to condition is called obesity. In this condition, person gains extra fat and becomes overweight. Obese children may be suffer from problems related to cardiovascular, means heart related problems, renal, means kidney related problems, gallbladder, etc. Okay. Next, vitamin deficiency. Before that, we discuss about classification of vitamins. Vitamins are classified into water soluble. Water soluble means this. So water soluble and a fat soluble. Fat soluble. They mix in water. Some may mix in water. Some may mix with fat, right? So here B vitamin and C vitamin are called water soluble. They mix in water, right? Next, A, D, E, K. A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K are called fat soluble vitamins, right? Next, vitamins are, what are vitamins? Vitamins are organic substances. They are micronutrients required in small quantities. So even though we need in very less quantity, so they are called micronutrients. Next, actually vitamins are not synthesized in our body. We do not generally suffer from vitamin deficiency. The source of vitamins to our body is through two ways. One is diet and other is bacteria present in small intestine. Synthesize supplies vitamins to the body, right? So generally we get vitamins from the diet, or some vitamins are synthesized in our body. So here last topic of our lesson is vitamins. So for this table, I am coming from bottom because from bottom to top it is very easy to remember. Phyloquinine, right? So problems related to blood clotting. So if a person is suffering from vitamin K deficiency, so delay in blood clotting may happen to the person, and overbleeding may happen. Means small injuries may also leads to big problem to that person, right? Next, tocopherol. What? Fertility related disorders. For right, sterility in males and abortions in females. Next, calciferol. We know vitamin D related to bones, right? So rickets, deficiency, diffuse rickets, improper formation of bones, knock knees, swollen wrist, delayed in dentation, weak bones. Next, retinol. So eye skin diseases, deficiency diseases are eye and skin, night blindness, xerophthalmia, cornea failure, scaly skin. Next, ascorbic acid, right? We know we'll see most of the vitamin C fruits, lemon, amla, all these sour fruits will get vitamin C, right? So deficiency is scurvy and a delay in healing of wounds and fracture in bones, right? Next, come to B vitamin. So for with this all A B, we have 6 classifications. B after C, D, E, K. Okay, easy to remember in this manner. Next, thiamine B1. B1 we have B1, B2, B3, B6, B12. 4, 5 are there. So B1, beriberi, vomitings, fits, loss of appetite means the person will not have proper hungry. He will not feel that difficulty in breathing, paralysis, riboflavin, glossids, mouth cracks at corners. This one we will see more in most of the children, right? So at the end of the mouth they will have white patches or white cracks, right? So by seeing that only we can say suffering from vitamin deficiency, right? That is B2. Red and sore tongue and photophobia, scaly skin, niacin, pellagra, dermatitis, diarrhea, loss of memory, scaly skin, right? Pyridoxine, anemia. Anemia is related to hemoglobin, right? If he is having less hemoglobin, that relates to anemia. Hyper irritability, nausea, vomiting and fits. Next is cyanocobalamin, pernicious anemia, lean and weak, less appetite. Next, folic acid, anemia, then diarrhea, loss of leukocytes, problems related to mucus in the intestine. Next, pantothenic acid, burning feet, walking problems and sprains. Right? Biotin, nerve disorders, fatigue, mental depression, and muscle pains. So these are the vitamins, vitamin deficiency problems and symptoms. Uh, from this table, we are able to see the all. Right? Thiamine B1, riboflavin B2, niacin B3, pyridoxine B6, cyanocobalamin B12, folic acid, pantothenic acid, biotin, ascorbic acid, vitamin C, vitamin A retinol, vitamin D calciferol, vitamin E tocopherol, and vitamin K phyloquinine. Right? With this, your lesson completed.